You did everything right and still got shut down. You skipped the $80,000 dealership trap, you avoided the endless monthly payments, the fragile electronics, and the emissions systems designed to fail at the worst possible time. You saw through the marketing, the polished showroom floors, and the promises of reliability wrapped in plastic and sensors. Instead, you chose something real. A 20-year-old workhorse built in a different era, real steel, real frame, real iron, the kind of truck that does not need a laptop to diagnose, the kind of engine your grandfather could understand with a flashlight, a basic tool kit, and years of hands-on experience. You did not just buy a truck, you built it. You made it stronger than factory. You made it simpler than modern machines. You made it dependable in a way new trucks can never be. You deleted the DPF because you were tired of clogged filters choking performance. You removed the EGR because recirculating exhaust into your engine never made sense to begin with. Maybe you even went further and swapped to a fully mechanical setup, no sensors, no electronic babysitters, just pure mechanical function. And the result? It runs better than ever. It starts every time, no hesitation. It pulls harder under load. It does exactly what a truck is supposed to do. No warning lights, no limp mode, no random shutdowns. Just power, reliability, and control. For a moment you beat the system. And then reality hits. You pull into the state inspection bay. It is just another day, or so you think. You have done this before. You are not worried because you know your truck is solid. The technician walks over with a scanner. He does not open the hood. He does not listen to the engine. He does not care how clean it runs. He plugs a cable under your dashboard. And everything changes in that moment. The machine starts talking to a computer that no longer exists. It searches for signals that are no longer there. It waits for responses that will never come. The screen pauses. A few seconds feel like minutes. Now that you understand how the system works and why your truck failed the moment it touched that scanner, we can go deeper into the first and most powerful loophole. The Montana LLC. This is not a hack. This is not a trick. This is a legal structure that has been sitting in plain sight for decades. And the only reason most truck owners never used it is because they assumed it was only for the wealthy. That assumption is what kept it hidden. Here is how it actually works. Montana as a state has some of the most relaxed vehicle registration laws in the entire country. No emissions testing. No safety inspections. No OBD2 scanning requirements. If a vehicle is registered in Montana, it does not go through the digital interrogation system that failed your truck. That alone makes it valuable. But the real power comes from one key detail. Montana allows out-of-state residents to own and register vehicles through a business entity. That means you do not need to live there. You do not need a Montana driver license. You do not need to ever physically visit the state. All you need is an LLC. A limited liability company created under Montana law. Now let us break this down step by step in a simple way. First, you hire a registered agent service in Montana. These companies exist specifically to help people set up LLCs in the state. They provide a legal address. They file the paperwork. They maintain the business registration. This usually costs a few $100s to set up and a yearly fee to keep active. Nothing extreme, nothing complicated. Once the LLC is created, it becomes its own legal entity. It can own property. It can sign documents. And most importantly, it can own vehicles. Now comes the key move. You sell your truck to the LLC. On paper, the ownership transfers from you as an individual to your company. Even if you are the only person in that company, the law sees it as a separate entity. Now your truck is no longer personally owned. It is owned by a Montana business. Next step, you register that vehicle in MO. Not everyone wants to build a company just to keep their truck on the road. Not everyone wants paperwork, filings, annual fees, and the responsibility that comes with maintaining a business entity. And that is exactly why the second loophole became so popular. Because it removes all of that. No LLC. No corporate structure. No complex setup. Just a different state with different rules. South Dakota. This is one of the simplest and most underrated options available right now, and most people still do not fully understand how powerful it is. Here is the key difference. Unlike Montana, South Dakota does not require you to create a business to register a vehicle there. It allows non-residents to register vehicles in their own name. That alone changes everything. You are not creating a separate entity. You are not transferring ownership to a company. You are simply registering your truck in a state with no emissions testing. Let that sink in. No emissions program. No OBD2 scanning. No inspection lines. The same system that failed your truck does not even exist there. Now let us break down how this actually works. First, you need an address in South Dakota. But not in the way you think. You do not need to buy property. You do not need to rent a house. You do not need to physically live there. What you need is a mail forwarding service. These services provide you with a legal mailing address in South Dakota. They receive your mail. They scan it or forward it to wherever you are. And most importantly, they allow you to use that address for vehicle registration. This is completely legal under South Dakota law. Once you have that address, the process becomes straightforward. You submit your vehicle documents, title information, identification, and required forms. You pay the registration fees. And then you wait. A short time later, your plates are mailed directly to you. No inspection appointment. No emissions test. No scanner plugged into your dashboard. You take those plates. You install them. And your truck is now registered in. There is one loophole that does not rely on another state. No LLC. No mailing address. No out-of-state plates. It is already built into the system. And most people ignore it until it is too late. Time. The 25-year rule. When emissions laws were written, lawmakers made one critical assumption. They believed that vehicles older than 25 years would slowly disappear from daily use. They imagined classic cars sitting in garages, weekend drives, car shows, collector pieces. They never imagined those same vehicles would still be working every single day, hauling, towing, earning money, surviving longer than the modern machines that replaced them. But that is exactly what happened. And because of that wrong assumption, a gap was created. A permanent gap in the system. Once a vehicle crosses the 25-year threshold, it moves into a different category. Historic, antique, classic. The name changes depending on the state, but the effect is the same. The system stops treating it like a modern vehicle. And when that happens, everything changes. In many states, emissions testing is no longer required. No OBD2 scan. No inspection computer. No digital checklist. The same truck that would instantly fail under normal registration becomes exempt. Not because it changed, but because the rules around it changed. And right now, this loophole is expanding faster than ever. Because we are entering a very specific window in time. The late 1990s and early 2000s. This era produced some of the most reliable diesel trucks ever built. Simple electronics. Stronger components. Less dependency on complex emissions systems. And those trucks are now crossing the 25-year mark. One by one. 1999 models. 2000 models. 2001 models. Each year another wave becomes eligible. OBS Chevy trucks. Second generation Dodge Rams. Early Ford Super Duty trucks. Machines that were built to work, not to comply. And now they are aging out of the system that was designed to control them. That is not a coincidence. That is timing. And for owners who held on to these trucks, this is the payoff.